Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Sridhar Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kunigiri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Tham ki jai. Navadvip Tham ki jai. Jagannath Puri ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Jamana Mai ki jai. Tulsi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande. You want to lead the chanting? Do you want to lead the chanting and reading? Can you do that? Yeah, you do. And Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Reading from and 13. Hey Krishna.
Iti Swanam Sab. Yeah, 12.
Iti swanam sa bhagavan Vigyaya khila drik swayam Sankalpa siddhaye tesham Kripayai tad achintayat Iti swanam sa bhagavan Vigyaya khila drik swayam Sankalpa siddhaye tesham Kripayai tad achintayat Iti swanam sa bhagavan Vigyaya khila drik swayam Sankalpa siddhaye tesham Kripayai tad achintayat
Ladies.
Synonyms, translation and purport by humble disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Synonyms. Iti, such. Swanam, of His personal devotees. Saha, He. Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vigyaya, understanding. Akhiladrik, the seer of everything. Swayam, himself. Sankalpa, of the imagined desired. Siddhaye, for the realization. Tesham, there. Kripaya, compassionately. Etad, this, as follows in the next verse. Achintayat, thought. Translation. Because he sees everything, Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, automatically understood what the cowherd men were conjecturing. Wanting to show his compassion to them by fulfilling their desires, the Lord thought as follows.
Om Jnana Timirantasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadhati Shapadantikam Vandehang Shri Guru Shri Jatapada Kamalang Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Shagrajatam Shahagana Raganatan Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savatutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Shahagana Lolita Sri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kamshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Krisha Bhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hori Priye Vansha Kolpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindho Pyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Iti Swanam Subhagavan Vigya Yakila Drik Swayam Sankalpa Siddhaye Tesham Kripayai Tada Chintaya. cowherd men heard how Krishna had been so honored by the demigod Varuna, so they were thinking, it seems that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Is he going to give us liberation? They were thinking in that way. So iti svanam, the Brajbasis were his own people. So Bhagavan, Krishna, the personality of Godhead, could understand everything. Vigyaya akiladrik. He could see everything, understand everything. So out of mercy, kripaya, achintayat, he was thinking, sankalpa siddhaye tesham, how to bring about the perfection of their desires, how to show them something that would completely satisfy them. Next verse. Oh yeah, looking just one time and everyone can follow.
Text 13. Jano vai loka etasmin avidya kama karma bhihi uccavachasu gatishu naveda swam gatim brahman. Translation. Lord Krishna thought, certainly people in this world are wandering among higher and lower destinations, which they achieve through activities performed according to their desires and without full knowledge. Thus, people do not know their real destination. Purport. Srila Jiva Goswami has elaborately explained how this verse applies to the eternally liberated residents of Sri Vrindavana, the Lord's abode. One of the fundamental philosophical principles of the Srimad Bhagavatam is the distinction between two types of illusion, Yogamaya and Mahamaya, the spiritual and material states of existence respectively. Although Krishna is God, the omnipotent, omniscient Supreme Being, his intimate associates in the spiritual world love him so much that they see him as their beloved child, friend, lover, and so on, so that their ecstatic love can transcend the boundaries of mere reverence. They forget that Krishna is the supreme God of all the universes, and thus their pure, intimate love expands unlimitedly. One may consider their activities of treating Krishna as a helpless child, a handsome boyfriend, or a playmate to be a manifestation of avidya, ignorance of Lord Krishna's position as God. But the residents of Vrindavan are in fact ignoring the secondary majesty of Krishna and focusing intensely on his infinite beauty, which is the essence of his existence. In fact, describing Lord Krishna as the supreme controller and God is almost a type of political analysis, referring as it does to a hierarchy of power and control. Such analysis of levels of power and hierarchies of rule is significant in a context in which one entity is not fully surrendered in love to a higher entity. In other words, control becomes visible or is consciously felt as control when there is resistance to that control. To cite a simple example, a pious, law-abiding citizen sees a policeman as a friend and well-wisher, whereas a criminal sees him as a threatening symbol of punishment. Those who are enthusiastic about government policies feel not that the government is controlling them, but rather that it is helping them. Thus, Lord Krishna is seen as a controller and hence as the supreme God by those who are not fully enchanted by his beauty and pastimes. Those fully in love with Lord Krishna focus on his sublime, attractive features, and because of the nature of their relationship with him, do not much notice his controlling power. A simple proof that the residents of Braja have transcended lower states of God consciousness rather than failed to attain them is the fact that throughout the pastimes of the Lord, they often remember that Krishna is God. Usually they are astonished at this remembrance, having been fully absorbed in seeing Krishna as their friend, lover, and so on. The word kama is conventionally used to indicate a material desire, or else a spiritual desire so intense that it becomes somehow analogous to intense material desires. Still, the fundamental distinction remains. Material desire is selfish and self-gratificatory. Spiritual desire is free of selfishness, being wholly for the pleasure of the other, the Lord. Thus, the residents of Vrindavan executed their daily activities solely for the pleasure of their beloved Krishna. It should be remembered that the entire purpose of Krishna's descent into this world is to attract living beings back home, back to Godhead. Two things are required for this: that his pastimes display the beauty of spiritual perfection, and that they somehow seem relevant and hence interesting to the conditioned souls of this world. The Bhagavatam often states that Lord Krishna plays just like a youthful actor, and he undoubtedly engages his eternal devotees in the dramatic presentation. Thus, Lord Krishna here muses to himself that people in this world certainly do not know their ultimate destination, and with an obvious touch of the facetious, he also thinks in this way about his own eternally liberated associates, who are playing in this world like ordinary members of a cowherd village. Apart from the double meaning obviously present in this verse when it is applied to Krishna's liberated associates, Krishna here makes an entirely direct and pointedly critical observation about ordinary people. When applied to conditioned souls who are actually wandering throughout the universe, his statement that people are acting out of ignorance and lust is not mitigated by any deeper spiritual meaning. People in general are simply ignorant, and they do not seriously consider their ultimate destination. As usual, Lord Shri Krishna is able to say many profound and complex things in a few simple words. How fortunate we are that God is not a dry field of energy, a transcendent, effulgent blob, or nothing at all, as various people would have it. In fact, he is the most wonderful personality of Godhead, full of absolute personal qualities, and certainly whatever we can do, he can do better, as evidenced by his brilliant way of speaking.
Jano vai loka etasmin avidya karma karma bhi ucha vachasu gatishu naveda swam gatim brahman. People are wandering, confused. Uchcha avachasu gatishu. Sometimes going to higher planets, sometimes lower. Brahmanda Brahmate Kon Bhagavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Latavij. We think we're making progress because we've gotten a good admittance to a university, or we've gotten a good position, good wife, good money. This was all will-o'-the-wisp. It's all fog. It all has no substantial meaning. Sometimes we go to Brahmaloka, sometimes we go to Patal Loka. So we're going here, going there. Avidya karma bhi, because of performing ignorant activities in ignorance and for sense gratification. We think that by pursuing sense gratification we'll be happy, but the result is just that we're wandering up and down the three worlds. In the samsara vartma, the path of repeated birth and death. This is the position of the world. They're all very worried about climate change or some political issue or some social issue or personal issue. But they're ignoring this issue, that we're wandering lifetime after lifetime from one place to another and going around in circles. This they don't know. Naveda swam gatim. They don't know the real destination that they're meant for. Naveda swam, or Naveda swam gatim. They're doing something and they don't know where they'll go as a result. They're robbing the bank and not thinking that for this I'll go to jail. They're performing sinful activities and not considering where this will land them. So either way, they don't know their real destination, and they don't know the destination to which their whimsical activities may take them. Naveda. Naveda means they don't know. That means ignorant. And avidya, kama, karmabhi. Therefore, performing ignorant activities that simply make their life worse. But here, the references, okay, you want to adjust it a little bit first? Let's get it right and then you don't have to mess with it. Is it okay now? Is it all right now? Okay. Here the reference is to the Brajvasis. Naveda swam gatim. They don't know where they're going. And Brahman, they're wandering around and they appear confused also. They're thinking that Krishna went to this exalted place, the abode of the demigod Varuna. We wonder whether whether Krishna is God. Maybe he'll bring us to Vaikuntha. So this is all bewilderment. What is Varuna Loka for the residents of Braja? The Devi Mahesha Haridhama Shute Goloka Namni Nijadama. Higher than all the three worlds is Goloka Vrindavan. Varuna only has some opulent quarters in part of this material world. But Goloka Vrindavan is beyond all three worlds. Nashyatsu navinashyati. When everything in this world is finished, Varuna and his oceans and his underwater palace, when all of that's finished, Goloka Vrindavan remains. And yet the Brajvasis were thinking, oh, Krishna went to Varuna Loka. And Goloka Vrindavan is higher than the Vaikuntha. And yet the Brajvasis were, well, not to speak of Vaikuntha, we wonder whether he's going to give us liberation. Liberation is nothing. To get free from material existence, that's a small thing. The enemies of Godhead attain liberation. The liberation is automatically achieved. The Bilwamangala Thakur, it's that since I've been engaged in devotional service, then mukti is rolling on my feet. Please take me, please take me, please take me. Automatically, liberation follows from devotional service. And anyway, the devotees don't care about liberation. It's insignificant. But the Brajvasis were wondering, I wonder whether he's going to give us liberation. If he's Narayan, maybe he'll give us liberation. They're way beyond liberation. What is that? Brahmabhuta prasannatma nashochati nakangshati samasarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktin labhate param. Those who are already liberated have to go further to be engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. And the Brajbasis are constantly engaged in the highest standard of devotional service. And still, I wonder whether he's going to give us liberation. Or maybe he'll take us to Vaikuntha. What is this Vaikuntha? Vaikuntha's below. That's the official kingdom of God, Vaikuntha. Lakshmi and Narayan are presiding over Vaikuntha, and Lakshmi herself performed austerity for thousands of years in a failed attempt to gain entrance into the activities of Goloka Vrindavan. The opulence of Vaikuntha is a partial manifestation of the full opulence of Krishna, which is shown in Goloka Vrindavan. So the Brajbasis were bewildered. I wonder if he'll give us liberation. I wonder if we'll go to Vaikuntha. What destination might we achieve? They've already achieved the highest destination. They're in the best situation of all, but out of love for Krishna. These are the actions of Yoga Maya. Two Mayas are there, Yoga Maya and Mahamaya. The Mahamaya is the bewildering material energy, avidya karma sangyanya tritiya shakti rishite. By the influence of the avidya shakti, or the material energy, Mahamaya, one is in ignorance as described here, and performing work and work and work, material activities for happiness that's never achieved. Vidya karma sanghanya tritiya shakti rishite. But there's another Maya, Yoga Maya, which also sometimes bewilders. But it bewilders the devotees in such a way that it increases their love for Krishna and enhances Krishna's transcendental pastimes. When Yashoda Mai is chasing Krishna with a stick, how is it possible? She's ready to punish the Supreme Personality of Godhead for stealing butter, which anyway he's the proprietor of. Bhoktaram Yagita Pasam. He's Ishavad Shamidam Sarvam. All the butter belongs to him. Where's the question of stealing? And where's the question of punishing him? But by the influence of Yoga Maya, Yashoda Mata is thinking, this is my child, I have to teach him how to act. When he's naughty, I have to punish him, otherwise he'll grow up to be bad. So this is Yoga Maya. This is Yoga Maya. In Goloka Vrindavan, especially, this Yoga Maya is active. In Vaikuntha, everybody knows who Narayan is. He's our worshipable Lord. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There's no confusion. Everything is very clear. But in Goloka Vrindavan, this position of appreciating the Supreme Personality of Godhead is transcended because of intense love. So the devotees forget. Sometimes they remember, but mostly, and even when they remember, then again they forget. Yashoda Ma is seeing the universe in Krishna's mouth. The picture is there behind us, behind you. And she's seeing. Oh. But then at the end, all right, close your mouth and don't eat earth again. That means, again, forgetting. Why? Because Krishna expands his Yogamaya, or the Yogamaya acts so as to cover this knowledge. If she goes on thinking that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then the whole relationship is finished. And then the whole transcendental, pleasurable exchanges, everything's lost. So she has to think that Krishna is my dependent child. If I don't feed him, he'll die. I have to protect him from the monkeys, from the Jamuna, drowning. So in this way, Yogamaya. The Mahamaya is a portion of the Yogamaya which acts upon the conditioned souls. But for the liberated souls, Yogamaya acts in this way, to sometimes reveal Krishna and sometimes conceal Krishna, or conceal the nature of Krishna from the devotees. All right, are there some questions, comments? Yes, Devaki Nandan Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
I didn't clearly understand that you were saying that the Brajavasi, after hearing the opulence of, Varun Loka, they were thinking, will Krishna give us even liberation? So I'm a little confused, because the few verses before, they were desiring to have Krishna's abode. Can he take us to his abode? So I think few verses, 12th or 11th.
Yes, they're asking, Apina Swagatim Sukshma, will he bring us to that Swagatim, his own abode, Sukshma, a very subtle place? Will he bring us there? And the Acharyas have sometimes commented in the verses for today that they were wondering whether they would get liberation or they would get Vaikuntha. They've commented that this Akila Sarvadrik means Krishna is the knower of Brahma, of Paramatma, of Bhagavan. So all three were possibilities. What is his own abode? The Mayavadis read Bhagavad Gita, Taddhama Padamam Mama. Yes, the Brahmajyoti. Or they don't even think of it as the Brahmajyoti. They think that supreme effulgent reality. That's their idea of Swagatim. And then someone else's idea is Vaikuntha. That's Swagatim. And the Brajbasis, they've attained the highest Swagatim, highest abode of the personality of Godhead. And still they're wondering, is he going to take us to his own abode? They're already there. They're already in the highest Vaikuntha. But will he bring us to the spiritual world? Or, if we take it, that's also liberation. To Mukta Sangha Param Braje. That's also liberation. But they could also be thinking conventionally that liberation means to get free from material existence. What we don't know exactly. Swagatim. What is that? They clearly don't have a definite picture. What does it mean to attain the abode of the Lord? If they knew, if they were entirely clear about it, they'd say, okay, here we are. Let's just stay here forever. But by the influence of Yogamaya, will he bring us to the supreme destination? In the 15th chapter, what is that? Yadaksharam Veda Vido Vedanti Vishanti Yad Yatyo Vitaraga Yad Icchanto Brahmacharyam Charanti Tate Padam Sangrahena Pravakshe. The Supreme Abode is described a little impersonally in there. Yadaksharam Veda, that Akshara, that inexhaustible place spoken of by the Vedas. Yadaksharam Veda Vido Vananti Vishantiyam Yatyo Vitaraga, where there's no desire, where there's no material consciousness. Yadicchanto Brahmacharyam Charanti, which people perform austerity, brahmacharya, to attain. Now I'll explain to you that supreme abode. Of course, natad pasyate suryo na shashanko na pavaka yadgatva na nivartante tadama. But even in Bhagavad Gita, only a hint is given. I have my supreme abode. What is that? The details are not given. So even if the Brajbasis have read Bhagavad Gita, which of course they haven't, but if they had read Bhagavad Gita, still they might be wondering, will he bring us to his supreme abode without exactly knowing what it is? Is that okay?
Can it be like, if they are asking for liberation, it can be Salokya, and that is also liberation, Salokya, because this synchronized with this.
That's liberation.
Yeah, that synchronized with this verse.
Yes.
Swagatim, so Salokya.
Yeah. Maybe that's reasonable. Will we attain Salokya liberation? Will we go to the same planet as the Lord, Swagatim? Or, those who don't know about the Lord's lokas, they just think, will we go to heaven? Will we attain mukti? Will we, without, just like that, who was it? Atri Muni. He was praying, may the Lord of the universe please appear before me. He was standing on one leg doing tapasya, arms up. May the Lord of the universe please appear before me. So then Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu appeared before him, and he was overwhelmed by joy, and he ran toward them. But then, which of you did I call for? Because they're all the Lord of the universe. Lord Brahma creates it, Lord Shiva destroys it, Lord Vishnu maintains it, so they're all, each one of them is the Lord of the universe. So thank you so much for coming, but which one of you did I call for? Even though he'd done so much tapasya, so much, still he wasn't clear. Who exactly is it? So all right, we'll all three of us become your son, don't worry. So in this way, sometimes our understanding is vague, it's hazy. So it doesn't seem that the Brajbasis had a razor-sharp, clear picture of where one goes when one is liberated. If they had that, they would have known that the highest liberation is to go to Goloka Vrindavan and live on the side of the Jamuna and the forests of Vrindavan and by the side of Govardhan, where they already were. But they were speculating, therefore sankalpa. Sankalpa means imagination, among other things, mental concoction. Sankalpa, imagination. Therefore, it's been given here in the word for word meaning, imagined desire. They're thinking about, these are simple cowherd people after all, and they're wondering about where they're going to go in the next life. They're not great Vedic sages, they're not philosophers, but they're wondering that if this boy is God, will he bring us to the spiritual world?
But I'm certainly they were not thinking about merging in impersonal Brahman. Because they were playing with Krishna, they were with Krishna, so like he has his place, so we will be there or something. I don't know.
I mean, certainly if you put them on the witness stand, they wouldn't say, I want to merge with the impersonal absolute reality so that I'll have no individual identity and I'll no longer have to serve Krishna. They certainly wouldn't say that. But there's a sort of popular idea that liberation means hitvanyata rupam, to get free from material existence, and then something bright, to attain, as described in the Upanishads, to attain that bright, effulgent kingdom. The Upanishads aren't conclusively saying that everything's impersonal, but they're not giving much information to go on. They don't take us much past the impersonal understanding. So definitely the Brajbasis are not Mayavadis. But even Krishna sometimes takes the role of a Mayavadi. This is Krishna Lila, that even Krishna can become a Mayavadi and preach impersonal philosophy. Or even the Brajbasis could be thinking about, will we attain freedom from material existence when they're already in the postgraduate stage? Prabhupada gave that story about the woman. She was a village woman, and she blessed the king, I think it was, gave her solved some problem for her, and she was so grateful that she blessed him. May you become chief of police. You know, so a little hazy about things. So the heart was right. We're grateful. We want to give him a benediction. But she could think of who's great. Oh, chief of police. He's a big man. May you become chief of police.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the beautiful class. In this pastime, it seems that when the opportunity came for the Vrajavasis, that here is God, so let us desire something from Him. So it appears that their love is motivated.
No, they love Krishna no matter what, but when they thought for a moment that he was God, they thought, well, if he's God, what's he going to do for us? Will he bring us back to the spiritual world? Otherwise, they really had no business with God. They weren't even interested in God. That pastime is there, that the gopis are chasing after Krishna, and Krishna's running away. And they're catching up, so Krishna assumes the Narayan form, God. And the gopis saw Narayan. Oh, Narayan, we offer our humble obeisances to you. Have you seen Krishna? Which way did he go? That's how interested they are in God. Is that all right?
Maharaj, one more.
Yeah, this is just further answer to your question, Devakinandan Prabhu. In Vishwanath Chakravarti comments on verse 12, that Krishna had knowledge of all realizations, the happiness of Brahman, Vaikuntha, Brajabhumi. So he began to think about fulfilling their desires. I'm skipping. Though these coward men actually understand that Brahma and Vaikuntha are insignificant because of tasting sweetness of Krishna prema, I'll give them realization of Brahman and Vaikuntha happiness in order to fulfill the desire they manifest while they play the roles of unintelligent human beings. So this is the sweetness of Krishna's pastimes, that the Brajbasis appear to be simple villagers, although they actually are on a far more exalted platform than the greatest sages. But they're not very concerned with philosophy, and as simple people, when they think that maybe Krishna is God, they think, well, maybe I can get liberation then, or maybe I can go to Vaikuntha. Wanted to? Yeah, get a taste of everything. It's all there, actually, in Krishna and in their loving relationships with Krishna. But all right, we'll show them something, Brahma, Paramatma, Bhagavan, whatever. It's all there. Nope. Here, hold on. Nope.
In this purport we read that because Vrajvasis, they were having love for Krishna, the knowledge of Godhood was not required for them. So it appeared that just by the sweetness of Krishna, just by knowing the sweetness of Krishna is sufficient without knowing the Godhood of Krishna. So, but then we see that in our case, we have to understand the Godhood of Krishna, for which he spoke the Bhagavad Gita. So, what is the best thing for us? What is the best thing for us? How much we should dwell upon the sweetness of Krishna and the Godhood of Krishna?
The Brajbasis don't have to think about Krishna's powers, his energies, his anything relating to Vishnu Tattva or the ontological nature of Krishna's existence. They just love Krishna. That's all. If we were on that platform, that's all we'd need. But we're on the platform of spontaneous love of Maya. That's our position. When there's sense gratification, maybe we can control our senses, but we have to control them because the senses are saying, wow, and the mind is saying, ooh. So we have that spontaneous attraction to the material energy. So first we need to understand, what is this material energy? Who is the controller of this material energy? What other energies are there? What is our position? All of these things we need to understand, and we need to decontaminate ourselves. Because in our pure position, we wouldn't be materially attracted. But in our present position, we are. And therefore we need to hear all of these topics of Krishna Katha, not like the Sahajiyas, jumping to 10th canto, jumping to Ras Leela, sweet, sweet, sweet. For the jaundiced patient, first you have to go through the stages of tasting the sugar candy to be bitter, then it'll automatically come to the sweet stage. If you think of taking some other approach, it doesn't work. So exactly the messages that Srila Prabhupada has given us in Bhagavad Gita as it is, Srimad Bhagavatam, Ishopanishad, nectar. All these are the things we need to hear. So the sweet, that's also part of the sweet for the Brajbasis. Krishna is just sweet. But for us, part of the sweetness is to recognize that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is doing these things. They forget, but we need to see that these, otherwise we take it materially. That Krishna's a young boy, gopis are young girls. It's something like our business here. And then we become more polluted. So we need to understand all of these things properly. And that means we need to patiently hear the topics of Srimad Bhagavatam one after another as presented by the acharyas, and not become sweetwallas, that we're just after sweets. But just as, if you want to be healthy, if you think, I'm just going to eat sweets, you'll get dysentery, you'll die. You can't do that. You take your rice, dal, chapati, and some sweet also, and then you'll get strength and get happiness. But if you think the sweet is what's really giving me happiness, let me just take sweets. Or if you think, well, Krishna, he just ate sweets, let me just eat sweets. That doesn't work.
Hare Krishna. In the beginning of your class today, you were explaining that sense gratification makes us wander in this material universe up and down. And now also, while explaining this question, you were explaining that sense gratification deludes us. Sense gratification deludes us. So my question is, Maharaj, although we hear this statement of sense gratification is detrimental to Krishna consciousness, we speak so many times in the lectures, why there is no hardcore conviction in the heart? How to get this hardcore conviction?
We have to come to the spiritual platform. Why am I know that sense gratification is bad, too much sense gratification is bad, and still I'm after it, in spite of knowing. That means the modes of nature are in passion and ignorance are acting. Just like a drug addict, he knows drugs are, but he can't stop because he's in such ignorance. Yeah. Avritam jnanametena jnanina nityavairina. So the material nature in the form of passion and ignorance is covering us. And therefore, even though we have theoretical knowledge, these qualities are permeating our minds and senses. But by the practice of bhakti yoga, tada rajastamo bhava kamalopadayaschaye chete taranavitam stitam sattve prasidati evam prasannavanaso. So we have to come in touch with the spiritual reality by Bhagavad Bhakti Yoga, and by immersing ourselves in Bhagavad Bhakti Yoga, not just 10% or a little sprinkle, but saturate ourselves with Bhakti Yoga. Then gradually we come to the pure stage. Is that okay?
Hare Krishna. How to saturate ourselves in this Bhakti Yoga? It's very difficult to control the mind and engage in Krishna consciousness like Harinam and Harikatha. So how to saturate our mind 100% into Krishna Katha and Harinam?
I have no magic pill. Everything is already there. The Mangala, from the Mangalarti, getting up early, Mangalarti, chanting on the beads, seeing the deities, doing the worship, hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam. Then activities for the service of, especially for preaching, book distribution, prachar, evening again, harikatha, kirtan. This is our formula. Anukulyasya sankalpa, pratikulyasya varjana. I didn't come with a new something I just found in the United States that will now, boom, make it all happen in 2 minutes. But Rupa Goswami, Utsaha, Nishchayat, Dharya. Stick to the process with conviction and with determination and patience, enthusiasm. Everything will come.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Yes. All the way in the back. Jaldi se.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj. In the purport, there is one line. As usual, Lord Sri Krishna is able to say many profound and complex things in a few simple words. Can you elaborate on this, Maharaj?
In a few simple words. There's especially two meanings here. Or, yes, he's glorifying indirectly the Brajvasis by pointing out how bewildered they are by love for him. And at the same time, he's exactly depicting the position of the conditioned souls. So he's accomplishing more than one thing at once.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Question. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
The servant of Varuna did bad thing. They took away Nanda Maharaj at Varun Loka. So all Brajavasis and devotees, they are very much worried. What happened to Nanda Maharaj? That is bad thing happened. But they did good thing. Because of their mistake, the Varuna has got a darshan of Lord Krishna. So what reward Varuna gave them? Either a punishment or reward.
What reward did Varuna give to his servants? I don't know, but they were already rewarded. They got to see Krishna. Okay, we still have a couple minutes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, you just mentioned that it's Yog Maya. Because of Yog Maya, the Gopas were thinking like that about Vaikuntha. Similarly, we see the Yashoda Maya pastime also. Like because of again Yog Maya, Yashoda Maya forgot that Krishna is that. Similarly, you mentioned that when the gopis were coming, they saw the Lord Vishnu, but they didn't feel it as a supreme personal. Again, because of Yog Maya. And so there are other pastimes also. So my question is that, Yashoda Maya comes in Vatsalya Ras. Yashoda Maya comes in Vatsalya Ras. Gopis comes in Madhurya Ras. So we see that these are the highest rasa. They are the topmost devotees. But still Yog Maya is able to control all of them. Like it seems like Yog Maya is very, very powerful. Like it's most powerful compared.
Yeah. Everyone, Arjun also. I was thinking that you were an ordinary person. Vihara Shayasana Bhojaneshu, we were eating together, joking together, everything. Now I see that you're showing the universal form. But then again, he engages Krishna as his charioteer. So all of these things are possible by Yogamaya. And yes, Yogamaya is so powerful, she's like controlling the whole spiritual world. Or even sometimes it appears that Krishna is under he forgets too. It's not just that the gopis forget, Krishna forgets. if Krishna is going to think, now I'm going to put Yashoda Mai under Yoga Maya, and she's going to chase me, but because I'm the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I'm going to have a little fun, and we'll do this thing with the ropes and all of that. No. Krishna himself is coming under the influence of that divine influence, that energy. So he's forgetting that I'm the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I don't have to worry about Yashoda Mai. What can she do to me? Vinashaya Chaduskritam. I kill all the demons. What do I have to worry about Yashoda Mai for? No, he gets into the same feeling that, if she's angry at me, she'll punish me. She won't let me play with my friends. Then what will happen? So even Krishna comes under the influence of his own energy.
So Krishna allows actually Yoga Maya to actually control him. So Krishna allows Yoga Maya to actually control him.
Svabhavaki Jnana Bala Kriyacha. His energies are working according to his desire, automatically. If Krishna has to do everything, all right, now this is going to happen, now that's going to happen, then he can't enjoy. He deputes all that. You arrange everything, and I'll just play. All right. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande.